My name is Jason. My dad's family is from Costa Rica. My mom's family is from the United States. My dad's family are tan and have big dark eyes and dark hair. My mom's family are all really light-skinned and have red hair and green eyes. I'm lucky because my skin is tan like my dad and his family. So when it's hot and sunny, I just get more brown. My mom's family either gets red or freckly. I do have my mom's green eyes, though. I was usually really happy growing up. Sometimes I had a little bit of trouble, like everyone does. But when that happened, I was lucky to have really great people in my family to help me out. I even have an awesome sister. She's my best friend in the world. I love her so much. But I have to admit that I didn't always feel that way about her. When I was a little boy, I always wished for a brother. When I was 5, my mom and dad told me I was going to get my wish. Mommy was going to have a baby. I couldn't wait because I just knew I was going to have a baby brother. I always wanted a big brother, like my friend Chuck. But having a little brother would be cool too. I could teach him things. And it would be cool to have someone to look up to me. When they got back from the hospital, I was excited to meet him. But then, Mom and Dad came home with a baby girl. Ugh! And she was so tiny, she looked like a loaf of bread with eyes. How could I teach her anything? All she did was sleep. Well, that's not entirely true. She also pooped and cried. I just couldn't see what the big deal was with her. Mom and Dad looked at her like she was so special. We thought you might be ready to help name her, my mom said. They had decided to wait until I met the baby to name it. I had picked out a bunch of cool boy names, so I was expecting a brother. Rocky, Brad, Jack, Mike, Alberto, Drake. I really liked the name Robert De Niro. I thought that would be a great name. But I didn't know any girl names. So what do you want to call her, they'd ask me. I don't know yet, I said. I didn't want to name a girl. I wanted to name a boy. That's fine, bud. We can wait, they said, smiling at me. They kept bugging me about it. It felt like they were pushing the baby name on me. Don't you just love her? They would ask. Have you picked out a name yet? Nope, not yet, I would say. I hadn't thought of any girl names. To be honest, I still didn't really want to. Isn't she wonderful? They would say to me. Got a name for her yet? Sure, I would answer, and nope, I haven't thought of a name yet. I knew that they wanted me to gush and moon over her like they did, but I couldn't really see the big deal. I hoped they would just get it over with and give her a name without me. 2 days later, I was happy when I knew that my grandparents were coming over. I was their special boy. All 4 of my grandparents always said that I was their favorite person in the world. They wouldn't care so much about the baby. They probably wouldn't even notice her, I thought. But when they came over, all my grandparents wanted to talk about was this baby girl. It was like, oh, hi, Jason. Nice to see you, bud. It must be wonderful to be a big brother. Now, where is that baby granddaughter we've been hearing so much about? And then later, there was, oh, isn't she beautiful? She's gonna be so smart. You can just tell by looking at her. Really? They could tell she was gonna be smart by looking at her? All I could tell by looking at her was that she was really good at sleeping, crying, and making smelly diapers. I bet I wasn't that smelly when I was a baby. They thought she should be named Rose because she was so sweet. I had a really good name for her, Duty. But I knew my parents would disagree with that, might even scold me. So I just kept my mouth shut and said, nope, not yet, when asked about a name for her. When I hung out with my friends, they thought I was lucky to have a baby sister. Chuck complained that his brother always gave him noogies. He thought having a sister would be easier. And Alfie said that he understood. Girls are different from us. They don't like the same things that we do, but that might be a good thing because I wouldn't have to share my toys with her. Chuck also thought that it might be easier because a girl wouldn't want to use my stuff. His brother had most recently taken his soccer ball because he had left his own at a friend's house, and Chuck's ball was nicer anyway. They also thought that it must be easier because she was just a baby, and she wouldn't bother me. Chuck asked what I was going to name her. I just shrugged, saying that I didn't know because I'd only picked out boys' names. But that was the problem. She did bother me. I mean, she did absolutely nothing, and everyone thought she was so great. I wanted a brother, someone who I could do cool stuff with. All I could do with my baby sister was look at her, and my parents were always saying things like, "Come, sit with your sister," or "Do you want to hold her?" or "Isn't she sweet?" No, I didn't want to sit with her. And no, I didn't want to hold her. She'd probably make me smell like her dirty diapers. And no, she was not sweet. She was stinky. "No thanks," I would say. And then I would go outside to play with my ball. I was doing that a lot lately. I also spent a lot of time climbing my tree or just walking on the nature trail. Then it was Saturday. The grandparents were coming over again to gush about the baby again. I wasn't looking forward to it. I thought about what I would do while everyone was cooing and drooling over the baby. I heard their car pull up, and looking over, I saw it was just my grandpa, Ernesto, from Costa Rica. When he was younger, he looked just like my dad. "Jason, there you are. I have been looking forward to seeing you," Grandpop Ernesto said as he walked over to hug me. "Mom and Dad are inside with the baby," I said, hugging my favorite grandpop. "Oh, that's great, Jason. But I'm here to see you," he said, handing me a new soccer ball. It was a really nice one. It looked like the one that the Ticos used. "How have you been? It must be a big change to have a new baby sister. What do you think of her?" She's fine," I said. Grandpapa Ernesto smiled, and he put the ball on the ground and he kicked it to me. "Did you think about what you want to call her?" he asked, getting ready for me to kick it back. No," I said, kicking the ball. "Why not?" Grandpapa Ernesto asked. "I don't know many girl names," I said. I didn't want to admit to him that I didn't really want to name the baby, or that I really didn't like her very much. "You don't sound too enthused, buddy," Grandpapa Ernesto said. "I didn't like my baby sister very much when she was born. I just didn't see what the big deal was." "Really?" I was surprised by that. Grandpapa Ernesto liked everyone. "I didn't really think she was all that when she first came home. And I didn't get why everyone made such a big deal about her," Grandpapa Ernesto continued. "Yes, exactly. It's like they think she's the greatest thing in the world," I said. "And why do they want me to help name her?" "I get it," he continued. "I felt like nobody paid attention to me anymore. My little sister was so needy, which was weird because babies don't really need anything at first. How could she need so much for someone who does nothing?" "That is so true," I said. I was starting to feel a little better. Someone understood what I was going through. "Yeah, I remember all that," Grandpapa Ernesto said. "Sometimes it felt like I wasn't even there. But it gets better." "Really? How?" I asked. I was hoping to have a brother who I could teach, and we could do fun stuff together, and now I'm going to have a whiny sister instead. Grandma Rosa already called her a little princess. I really wanted a brother. "Well, you can't change the fact that she's a girl," Grandpapa Ernesto said. "But you can still teach her all the cool things that you would have taught a brother." "How?" I asked. "Princesses don't do anything." "Well, Jason, you are going to have a really important job as a big brother," Grandpapa Ernesto explained. You can teach her to play ball and do all the same things that you would teach a brother. Just because she's a girl doesn't mean that she will have to be a princess. She could be a girl who likes to do the same things as you. I wish there were more girls like that when I was growing up. And because you are her big brother, she will need you to protect her and help her." That made sense. It also sounded really kind of cool that I could teach her something and she would need me. "She is going to look up to you," said Grandpop Ernesto. "She is going to need your help." And I like the sound of that. Do you really think so?" I asked. "Absolutely," he said. "And right now, she needs you to think of a great name for her." "I think I have a perfect name for her," I said, feeling a lot better. We walked inside to where Mom was feeding the baby. My sister's eyes were open. I hadn't seen her eyes open yet. They were big and round, and they were looking right at me. "Hi, Jason, my favorite boy," Mom said, and she smiled at me. "Do you want to hold your little sister?" I wasn't sure. She was so tiny. "I'm not sure. I don't want to hurt her," I said. "You won't," Mom said. "Here, you can help feed her." She put the baby in my arms and handed me the bottle. I understood what Grandpop Ernesto meant when he said I would have to be her protector. She was tiny, and she was smiling up at me. "Did you think of a name for her yet?" Mom asked me. "Yes," I said. "I have the perfect name for her, and it wasn't Duty." "Oh? Do you want to tell us?" Dad asked. "Ernesto," I said. "I decided to name her after my favorite person in the world." "Ernesto it is," Mom laughed. "I think Daddy's perfect," Grandpop Ernesto said, laughing. And I helped to feed my baby sister, Ernesto, for the first time.
We had lived on our little farm for almost a year. By this time, we had settled in and we were all very happy. I loved farm life. It was fun to be around the horses and the llama. We had special chickens called arucanas that laid blue eggs. I would take our basset hound for a walk every day. Overall, life was good. The only thing that was missing were other kids. Yes, we had my little sister, but she was still too young to do anything interesting. I wanted friends who were my own age, and preferably boys since I hadn't learned that girls could be cool yet. At the time, the only kids that I wanted to hang out with were other boys. Since then, I learned that girls could do all the same things that boys could do. And in fact, some girls liked the same things that I did. But at the time, all I knew about girls was that they played with dolls, and they pretended to bake, and they didn't like insects, and that they sometimes squealed. Creepy dolls and squealing did not sound like a good combination to me. Our nearest neighbors had moved out shortly before we moved in, but we noticed that someone had moved into that house. Mom had seen bikes being unloaded from the moving truck and said that one looked like it would be for someone my size. She thought that the new neighbors might have kids. That would be cool. I hoped it was a boy my age, someone with whom I could go on adventures, a boy who I could go fishing and searching for salamanders with, a boy who liked lacrosse and soccer, someone to go skateboarding with, someone who wouldn't think that my little sister was the cutest thing in the world while I thought she was just smelly. Perhaps my neighbor would be a little older than I was and he could be like a big brother. It was true. I had wanted a big brother, or a little brother, and I ended up with a sister instead. Ernesto, my sister, was all right and starting to be fun to do things with, but having a little sister was nothing like a big brother, or a little brother for that matter. I just wanted someone my age and someone who I could do cool things with. I couldn't wait to meet my new neighbor. Mom was right. Our new neighbors did have kids, and one of them was my age. A few days after Mom had discovered the moving truck and the bikes at the neighbor's house, I was walking our basset hound, Sandor. My mother named him when we adopted him. As we moved along, passing our horses, I noticed a girl feeding carrots to my horse, Daffodil. Daffodil picked his head up and he looked at me. He always recognized me. "Hello?" I said to the girl. She was tan, with brown hair and light brown eyes. "Hi," the girl smiled. "Is this your horse?" "Yes. His name is Daffodil," I said. "That's a funny name for a boy horse," the girl said. I thought it was the perfect name for the horse. He was a palomino and was golden like the flower. I named him," I said. "He's a palomino, and that's what his color's called. I named him because he's golden like the flower." Daffodils were my favorite flowers, which were another reason that I named him that. And why was this girl questioning what I called my horse? "Well, I still think that I would name a girl horse after a flower," the girl said. She wasn't mean. She was smiling. She had a really friendly smile. She was wearing boat shorts and the same kind of hiking shoes that I wore. "I like your dog. What's his name?" "His name is Sandor. He's a basset hound." "Do you live around here?" I asked, deciding to change the controversial subject of horse names and to avoid any controversial discussions about dog names. "Yeah, we just moved in a few days ago," she said, pointing at the house. "I'm really excited to live near horses and hiking trails." Oh no, my new neighbor was a girl. Ugh, there were girls everywhere in my house, and now the only neighbor my age was one. "I love it here," she continued. "The house is bigger than our old one, and I have my own room, so I don't have to share a room with my little sister." Ugh, 2 girl neighbors? I'd never have another dude to hang with until I was a grown-up. And I bet that room that she had all to herself was filled with creepy dolls. I wonder if her sister was still in diapers like mine. Great. Another smelly baby girl as well, I bet. I decided it was time to get walking with Sandor. As I started walking, this girl started walking with me. I had not invited her to come along. My daddy had occasionally said that girls do what they want. I guessed this was one of those occasions. At least she wasn't carrying along a doll. "Where are you guys going?" she asked. "For a walk," I answered. I noticed that her shorts had a little bit of mud on them. "Great! You can show me around," she said. I had not offered. Oh well. Sandor seemed to like her. "Okay, my name is Jason," I said. "I'm Alex," she said. Alex? Wasn't that a boy's name? What was it she'd been saying about my horse having a girl's name? "Isn't that a boy's name?" I couldn't resist. I had to ask. "No, it's short for Alexandra," she explained as if I had no clue about anything. "I was named after my grandma." "I was named after my pop-pop, Jason. He's my mom's dad," I said. "I named my little sister, Ernesto, after my other grandpop." "I like it," Alex said. "I like it when girls have boy-sounding names." "Oh, look!" She pointed at a snake curled up on the rock. I started to walk over to the snake when she stopped me. Don't get too close. That's a copperhead. They're venomous." How did she know what kind of snake that was? I'd never seen one of them before, only little garter snakes in the garden. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Yes," she said, picking up a long, skinny stick and carefully pointing it at the snake. "See the shape of his head? How it looks thicker and his body sort of chunky? That's a viper, and copperheads are vipers that live around here." Wow. Okay, I was impressed. "How do you know that? Most people my age couldn't identify what type of snake it was." I couldn't. "My dad's a biologist. He works with a lot of different kinds of animals," Alex explained. "On one project, my dad had to count different species of snakes. He showed me pictures of them all and how to identify them. I like animals, and I love snakes. And birds." "I love animals too," I said. "My dad is a vet. My mom is a journalist." "Cool," Alex said. "My mom's an artist. I sometimes help them working on different projects." And as we walked and talked, I became really happy that Alex was my new neighbor. I learned that she also liked to play soccer and lacrosse and go skateboarding. I also learned that Alex loved science, especially biology. And she also loved birds and hiking in nature. She also enjoyed climbing trees, acrobatics, and tumbling. I wasn't really even sure what that was. Alex told me that her family moved to the new house because it had more room for Alex's parents' projects, and it had a pool. She liked that there was so much nature to see right outside her door. Alex also had a lot of pets, almost as many as we did. She had 4 cats, a dog, and the animals that her father worked with, which changed depending on what his project was at the time. Alex was much more like a boy. She only looked like a girl, and that was fine with me. I had a friend who lived right near me, and she liked to do all the same things that I did. Alex and I stayed friends throughout our school years, into college, and beyond. We're still friends. Our parents became friends. Alex also proved a point that my grandpa at Ernesto had made when my little sister was born. Girls and boys are all different. A lot of girls like the same things that boys like. And he was right about that. From that first day, my friendship with Alex taught me not to prejudge people, but to instead get to know them. And since I met Alex, I have followed that advice and made many more friends over the years. Some that were a lot like me and some that were very different. But all are